Allow me to extend a warm welcome to all the viewers on the internet and around the world. It is sunrise on YouTube, morning on Facebook, noon on Twitter, midday on Threads, afternoon on Twitch, sunset on Instagram, and evening on Rumble. I am your host, the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, he who remains, and the master of the deceptive arts. We are broadcasting live directly from the sanctum of solitude and the citadel at the end of time. Good evening, everyone. I am the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, he who remains, and I am the master of the deceptive arts, and I return to you once more, humbly, as the voice of the vasectomites. And today is that's exactly what we'll be talking about, these vasectomites that we have all come to love and revere on our platform. Today, we are going to read a drama, or really a high drama and theatrical comedy. This is the story of when a counterpart encounters a vasectomite. This story has everything that you can dream of. It has everything that you have come to expect from a seasoned vasectomite: deception, intrigue, suspense, high emotional tension with a meaningful payoff at the end. And then there is the secrecy, and ultimately the big reveal. Oh, you're gonna love it. I have been waiting all day to do this article, and I'm gonna do it justice. This is really one of the good ones. But before we proceed, let's look at some meaningful vocabulary. We're going to look at what the word secret actually means. You see the title. It's fury, as man gets a secret vasectomy. That fury, that anger, that rage. It tells you all about today's edification. There is such a tremendous build-up here, and the disappointment that you're going to feel is so real. It is so real. I mean, you can't fake this, right? But let's talk about the word secret, because this is the operative word in this title, right? I mean, fury is actually quite functional and descriptive too. Vasectomy is right there at the top of our daily diction and vocabulary, right? But the word secret is one that we use ever so often. But I realize that I haven't actually said what is a secret, right? What is this thing that we talk about here in the deceptive arts? This thing that fuels our resolve in a deception and our practice of the deceptive arts. A secret is when something is not known or seen, or not meant to be known and not meant to be seen by others. Now, isn't that just a meaningful definition, right? Something that is not known, it is already unknown, and it is also unseen. We can also add the word unheard, right? So you are oblivious to it. But not only that, you are meant to be oblivious to it, right? It is not meant to be known or seen by others. Another definition was very similar. It said something that is kept or meant to be kept unknown, or unseen by others. Isn't that just a meaningful definition? It is something that people are oblivious about, that is kept away from people because it is meant to be kept away from people. This tells you that if you have a secret and you keep that secret away from people, you keep it unknown, unseen, unheard, you're actually doing the right thing. By this definition, you are doing the right thing by keeping your secrets, because a secret by nature and definition is meant to be kept unknown and unseen by others. So it is not only that way, it is meant, it is designed, it is the function of it to be that way. Isn't that just meaningful? And what you're going to see today is what I have been advocating and motivating all along. Is that when you get your vasectomy, you keep it a secret. In other words, when you get it, do it in such a way, and I mean, I did it, but I did it in an extremely clandestine way. But do it in such a way that it is unknown or unseen, right? And then have it be something that is not meant to be known and not meant to be seen by others, right? Treat it as something that is kept and meant to be kept, designed to be kept, the function of which is to be kept unknown, unseen, and unheard by others. This is exactly what we're talking about. So when you keep your secrets away from these knee benders and these counterparts, and you play your part to perfection, you play the part of the butler, the number one servant, just know you're doing the right thing. You're absolutely doing the right thing. By definition, it is meant to be that way. And I always say, freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy, right? And then I say, keep that vasectomy a secret, right? But also, there is something else that I say, and I want to discuss this right now. And I say two things, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, and very often it's quite subconscious. And I say to you, number one, freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy. And then I also say the winning move is not to play the game. Now, on the surface, these two statements might seem different, nuanced somehow. But upon deeper inspection and analysis, you may come to discover that they in fact mean the same thing. I can be quite repetitive and embellish simultaneously. I know this about myself. Perhaps the statement requires correction and improvement, right? Perhaps a better expression of the second statement would be to say the winning move is not to play their game, rather to play your own game, right? Rather to have your own secret designs, as the grandmaster of the deceptive arts describes, right? He says, do not ally yourself with all and sundry, but keep and work on your own secret designs, your own unfathomable plans, keeping your antagonists in awe, keeping them in constant wonder. And that's what I mean by do not play their game. It doesn't mean don't participate It doesn't imply that you shouldn't participate at all, even though that's probably the best thing you can do. The best thing you can do is just leave these people alone to ruin their own lives before you give them an opportunity to ruin yours. But if you are going to participate, you should participate under different rules of engagement. Your own rules of engagement. Your secret rules of engagement. You see, what you can do is get a vasectomy and then participate like a normal bender. Flowers, chocolates, roses, whatever is within budget and within reason. Trips if you can, right? You can absolutely do that. And this is what you're going to see today from this vasectomy, right? He didn't so much change his philosophy, but he evolved his biology to protect him in a meaningful day. And in a meaningful way, I beg your pardon. Today, what you will see is the full power of the vasectomy and the vasectomites demonstrated. You will see how a true vasectomite uses his secret and his resolve and his skills in the deceptive arts to control every situation, manipulate every play, creating as I've described unfathomable schemes, using what the Grand Master of the deceptive arts calls the divine manipulation of the thread to create today's magnificent opera of melancholy and emotional depth that only a true vasectomite can give. What you and I will see today is how the counterpart tries to weave their own web while we use the divine manipulation of the thread to overcome this web. And they try to use this web to ensnare and entrap this brave, this cunning, this soulful and wholesome vasectomite into legal matrimony and the clutches of the dark dimension, if you can believe that. She attempts to do so by convincing the vasectomite to inseminate her and get her pregnant. She convinces him, or so she thinks, that they will be great parents together. Surely, being a vasectomite, he knows what I know. He knows that there is only one outcome to this, one consequence, and that is disaster, catastrophe, absolute pandemonium. He knows this because he got a vasectomy, but she doesn't know. She has havoc ready to be reaped upon this man's entire existence. But little does she know. Ultimately, the counterpart will attempt to weaken our courageous vasectomite, our pillar of strength, this vestige of hope, and she'll try to get him to surrender his freedom, his liberty, his self-determination by getting him to bend that knee. My God, can you imagine a vasectomite bending that knee? But even if she doesn't get him to bend that knee, she can if she ever got inseminated and pregnant, she can secure him for 20 years, 18 to 20 years. She can sentence him to 18 to 20 years of child support maintenance fees, along with lawyer fees and add-ons. Decades of this. This is the challenge the magnitude of the challenge that our vasectomite faces today. For us, this is a fate worse than elimination. This is a fate worse than meeting our Maker. However, the counterpart's diabolical scheme was always doomed to fail, because little does she know she's dealing with a world-class, first grade, Hall of Fame, one-of-a-kind vasectomite. As we read through today's magnificent melancholy drama, I want you to use your imagination as we go through the vasectomite's web of deception and ensnarement. I want you to imagine how this situation would have played out if you were in the vasectomite's shoes. You as you are right now. You as you are right now, bachelor, married, divorced, vasectomy or no vasectomy. Most of you don't have no vasectomy. So you are potential benders, right? Bachelors, knee benders, however you categorize yourself, right? How would this situation play out? Were you in the vasectomite's shoes? My guess is that you would probably capitulate, and you would have capitulated and given the counterpart exactly what they wanted, and you would have probably been made to bend the knee. You would have capitulated not because you actually wanted to have any fledglings, and not because you want to be a father, but because you wanted to be intimate. Because I know you didn't want to be a father. And I know you didn't want that extra fledgling. I know if you already have fledglings, you don't want another one. And I know if you don't have them, you don't want one anyway. Because we all know what the consequences are, right? Everybody knows them by now. So I know you just wanted the chance to be intimate with the counterpart, right? Whether it's this counterpart or that counterpart, whichever counterpart you want to be intimate with, right? And the truth is, that's what the vasectomite wanted too. He wanted to be intimate with her. And that's the whole truth, right? There's a point where the counterpart indicates that it was her inclination to have a fledgling, and the vasectomite saw it as a golden opportunity to express himself in an intimate way. And so he went and did that. And I'm sure you would have felt the same way. You would have done the numbers and thought, well, what are the chances that she's actually going to inseminate? The lower the chances, it means that the more opportunity you have to engage. That's all it means. It means that you just have more engagement. You just have more intimacy, right? And that's what the vasectomite wanted too. And that's the whole truth, right? You wanted intimacy, but not responsibility, right? Intimacy equals responsibility. You have to know this always, right? Not only did you not want the responsibility, you didn't want to face those consequences, right, of that intimate act. You just wanted the intimacy. You wanted the endorphins, the adrenaline, the excitement, right, the hormones, right? You wanted to see her respond to you and you respond to her, and you just didn't want the consequences, right? But what does reality dictate will be the consequences in actuality? What is reality telling us? Remember, we know reality is a fertile ground for disappointment. Reality tells that 18 to 20 years of child raising and 18 to 21. Let's make it 18 to 21 years. Child support. All right. Uh, Perhaps you may also be induced into legal matrimony, which is really the easiest way, right? And then now here you are deep inside the dark dimension, right? And all the ills and suffering that come with that. Because let's be honest, I'm against bending the knee in a very meaningful way. I really am. But simultaneously, simultaneously, I don't believe that you should be making children. If you want to be a bachelor, you can't be making children. Let's just be serious for a moment. There are many men who preach, and I say preach. You see, I don't like the word preach for myself. I advocate, I motivate, right? So I will say this is what I stand for, and these are the reasons why. There are some people who preach an incomplete philosophy, and it's dangerous. And I'm here to tell you that incomplete philosophy is very dangerous. If you are going to go there out there in the world over there, and you're going to stay there and say, hey there, I don't want commitment. I don't want the struggle, the difficulties. I don't want the headaches. I don't want the problems. I don't want the expense. I don't want the loss in time, in quality. I don't believe that the returns are worth it for me. You are well within your rights to make that statement. Simultaneously, you cannot make that statement and then have a child to raise. So you cannot say, I want it to be all about me. I want to be by myself. I want to live my best life. I want to travel, right? I want to ride exotic vehicles with strange names. I want to go to places whose names I can't pronounce, eat things that I can't pronounce, right? Croissants, I don't know what that is. You know what I mean? Creme brulee. You want to eat all that. It's going to make you fat. You don't even know what that is. Some type of pasta, perhaps. You don't even know what that is, but you're going to eat it anyway. Right? You're going to see it on the menu. They're going to tell you what's in it. You're going to love everything that's in it because you don't know how to pronounce none of those things. There's your creme brulee with parmesan. What does that even mean? What does that even mean? But you're going to eat it anyway. Right? Because you're just a creature of habit. And when you out there having kids, you cannot be doing these other things. That creme brulee parmesan money that gotta go to diapers and nappies and formula and other things, right? And toys, right? So you have to be responsible, man. And while I'm all for not bending that knee and self determination and liberty and all such things, the truth is, you have to choose. You have to choose. You have to choose, are you going to live the bachelor life? Are you going to live this life or are you going to be raising children? And you have the choice. You can freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy. And later in life, if you choose to have children, you can have children that you're 100% sure are yours. Right? No funny business. No guesswork required. Right? But if you are not going to have children, you need to make sure that you cannot have children. If you don't want to have children, you need to make sure that you cannot have children. You need to get that vasectomy. You need to freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy. Otherwise, your bachelor life will be very short-lived. And by short-lived, I don't mean you're not getting a year. You're getting 9 months. You're getting exactly 9 months. From the day that you were intimate, you are getting exactly 9 months. And you can make the choice. It's entirely up to you. And this is what this platform is really about, if I have to be seriously honest. Yes, I advocate that you freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy. And while we have 2% of men with vasectomy, it indicates that either most men are not consciously aware that they have this option. So they might know that there's such a thing as a vasectomy, they may have heard about it, they may have discussed it in passing, but it's really not part of their everyday discussions as it is here. And that's why I'm here on as often as I can, so that we can have this conversation every single day and have this word vasectomy as part of our discussion. It has to become normal. Eventually it will be, right? You say the same word enough time, somebody's going to hear it. Eventually somebody's going to hear it. But it all comes down to a choice. And that's really what I'm here for. I'm here to provide you a choice. Right? I advocate my own message, but that's only because, and I mean, I advocate my own philosophy, but that's only because I know that there are others who advocate a different philosophy. And I know you've heard their philosophy and understood their philosophy. Thereby, we can contrast philosophies. And I'm saying this is the one that I stand for, and that's the one that they stand for. And you have a choice. That's all. That's all I'm here to provide. I've already made my choice. I froze my sperm and I got a vasectomy. So I can still have kids, but not the traditional way. And I'm not planning to have no kids. So I'm here to advocate for that. But the question isn't really what I'm going to do, because it's already done. The question is, what are you going to do? That's really the question that we need to, talk about. What are you going to do? If you've heard this video or any video at least once, you know that I've said freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy. And what are you going to do with that information? That's really what we need to answer. Because there's going to be an outcome one way or another. And you can be stuck in the dark dimension and the misery of the dark dimension. And I will be out here advocating that it's a good thing that you bend that knee. Because if you're going to be making children, I'm going to need you to bend that knee. I'm really going to need you to bend that knee. You're not escaping that. There's no cure. There's no cure for children. There's only prevention. There is no cure for having kids. Once you've had those kids, the only thing you can do is prevent yourself from having another one. But you can't undo that one. There's no going back in time for that. Children are like what they call a fixed point in your timeline. So what happens is, even if you travel back in time, whatever actions you take are always going to end up with you having this particular child. So if you travel it back in time, and I'm not suggesting this, that's completely illegal, and you're happy, I'm more than happy for you to go look up time travel laws. But if you ever did travel in time, and you try to undo the decisions of your past, and you returned back to your future or your present, and somehow you were able to, and this isn't very difficult to do, all you need to do is return back to the exact same point where you left, and it'll be as if you never left. And you would continue into that new reality. And whatever you had changed in the past may or may not remain permanent. But what it will do, no, I beg your pardon, what it will not do is erase your children and the consequences of those children. That's something that they don't tell you about. You can move furniture and things like that. You can prevent injuries and things like that, but you cannot prevent children. You cannot prevent children. You can perhaps delay it, but you cannot prevent it. This is why 99% of the world ends up with children or they end up married. They either get married because they want to have children or they get married because they have children. And you can have that outcome if you choose, or you can have the outcome that we see in today's edification, the outcome of the vasectomite. And here it is, the tremendous work of art, our beautiful article entitled Fury as Man Gets Secret Vasectomy Without Telling His Girlfriend Who Wants Kids. It was published almost a year ago, August 5th, 2024, by the writer Lucy Notar Antonio. I apologize if I mispronounced your name. And it comes from the talented people over at Newsweek. www.newsweek.com is their website, and there is the link to the article. It reads, just listen to this. A heartbroken woman has turned to the internet for advice after finding out her long-term boyfriend had a vasectomy without telling her. Here we go. It's already got all the good stuff that we like. Listen to that. Heartbreak. The story begins with heartbreak, tragedy over what? A secret vasectomy. This is how powerful a vasectomy is. This is why it's not a popular topic of discussion anywhere on the internet. It always leaves them without an answer. It really leaves them with more questions than answers. It makes them wonder about even themselves deeply. Reddit you throw are a idiot in love. I'm just gonna say Reddit you throw RA explained that she was okay. So we need a name for our protagonist. Let's call it Throw RA. Throw RA says she has always wanted to be a mom and made it clear from the first date with her now ex-boyfriend, 34-year-old vasectomite. That's ridiculous. You just meet this guy, and on the first day, the first thing you say is you want to get pregnant. Oh, okay. I see the problem here. You're dating with intention. Come on, man. You know? And what's he supposed to say? When you say, well, as a woman, I'd like to fulfill my biological imperative. What's he supposed to say? No way. No way. However, he didn't feel the same way. The 29-year-old Throw RA wrote, I'm just going to call her counterpart, right? Counterpart, it's much easier to remember, right? The 29-year-old counterpart wrote, I've always been sure I'd like to have 1 to 2 kids, and he was on board with having kids eventually. You know, one thing that they don't mention here is if he froze his sperm. I don't remember seeing that he froze his sperm. So the option of having kids might be completely off the table. But just imagine having to raise 2 kids. That's the 21 years. That's 21 years right there. Right? You have 1 kid, you raise them up to 18, and then maybe 2 or 3 years later, you have another kid. That 18-year-old is going to be on the books until 21, until this one turns 18, right? So you're definitely caring for both those kids. That's 21 years. And what if she decides when the one is 13, the other one is 10, she wants one more. Oh, now you're on the hook for another one. That's 35 years. That's 35 years of child caring. and you got to pay for the counterpart too. So, she wanted two kids. Maybe she would have wanted more. That's two kids right off the bat and a third one years later. You see that all the time. She got two kids, 13, 10, and then boom, a baby, a last one, a miracle baby. Oh, I can't stand miracle babies. I cannot stand miracle babies. That Hail Mary, it's never a Hail Mary. It's always a sure thing. It's never a fluke. It's always a sure thing, man. You're getting a miracle baby. After she has two, she's gonna want three. It says, and a marriage. According to research, childless men rather than women are more inclined to express a desire to become parents in the future. This is misleading. A Pew Research Center survey of 770 US adults under 50 found that childless women are more likely to state that they simply do not want to have children, with 64% expressing this sentiment compared with 50% of men in the same age group. So, what the men are saying is that they want to get intimate. This is exactly what I alluded to in the pre-reading, right? In our pre-reading discussion, is that what you want is you want to be intimate, but you know that one of the best ways to be intimate is to secure a particular outcome for a counterpart. To say, you know what, I see us having kids. And if you can say that you do induce a certain instinct in the counterpart, which she may start to imagine some type of future with you and these fledglings, right? But what men really are expressing indirectly is that they just want to be intimate. I assure you, if you offered a man the opportunity to be intimate without the consequences of having children, but also not having to need contraception. So without having a vasectomy, without having to do any work and any change, they just want to be intimate, right? Without doing any work, any change. And that's what these statistics are indicating. They are indicating that more men will be misleading in order to get intimacy, whereas the counterpart would view intimacy in one way and pregnancy and insemination as a completely different activity, right? For some reason, they say that the counterpart multitasks in their mind. So what they have is different thoughts from different experiences, all playing themselves out all in their mind, all except their intimate thoughts. Those they seem to be able to compartmentalize quite well. And they seem to be able to quite easily separate intimacy from having kids. It's surprising. Where other things are all jumbled up, but this particular one, they seem to be very, very clear about. So let's continue. But this isn't the case for this couple, or as the woman went on to explain the extreme lengths her boyfriend of 7 years went to in order to ensure he didn't have children. Extreme lengths. I think a lot of people view a vasectomy as an extreme length. I think without freezing the sperm, and I say freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy. A vasectomy can be viewed by many as an extreme length, and an extreme act. But what they're trying to represent here is the extremity on her side, also in contrast with his. So, on the one hand, they indicate that it is the men generally who want to have children. But in this unique circumstance or rare circumstance, statistically speaking, she was one of the women who wanted to have the child more than what the man does. I generally find that to be quite opposite. I genuinely find that men would rather have intimacy without the responsibility of the raising children and being put on child support for 21 years. The August 2 post has received 8,900 upvotes. Assuming that's kind of like a like. And many users are livid about his actions. Livid. Listen to those emotions. They cannot tolerate a man with a vasectomy. I mean, they cannot tolerate a man with a vasectomy. When people hear, and there's a man out there who got a vasectomy and didn't tell anyone, it is like a stab in the heart. The men don't like it because they feel like you are cheating the system, which is not cheating the system. This is how the system works. It's meant to be used efficiently and effectively. But the counterpart, oh, they are devastated for many reasons. I don't even know what all the reasons are, but they are devastated. I mean, we started with heartbreak and now we have 8,900 complete strangers, and I bet you 80% of them are counterparts. I'm just willing to bet that. And they are livid about his actions. He did nothing to her, by the way, that she didn't want happening. You know, she said she wanted kids, and he said he was cool with having kids one day. I'd say the same thing. One day, right? Maybe not with you. She begins the post by stating that shortly after the couple purchased their first home together, they started to try for a baby. So I don't know if they were married or just cohabitating. I don't think they had purchased the home. I think he had purchased the home and she had lived with him, or they were renting. But I think he bought the home because I'm a person who owns a home. Now I don't always stay in it. I might be away for 6 months. I'm a bachelor. I might go where I go, right? But I'm a person who actually owns a home. Whether I'm there or not is irrelevant. I could understand why a vasectomite would want to buy a home. Why not? You're not having no kids, you're not having a wife or anything like that. And effectively, what you're doing is just securing your own retirement, right? This is where I'm going to retire. When it all said and done, this is where I'm going to retire. When it's all said and done, this is, you know what you need? You need a place to send your post. You need a place to send your packages. You need a place to store things. Over the years, you really accumulate a lot of things as a bachelor. And you lose some really amazing things. You have to give away some really amazing things because you're moving from place to place to place. So you may want to buy your own place that's just for you. Make sure it's safe. Put bars on every door. I don't care what they look like, right? I don't care if you think it makes your house look like a prison. Put bars on every door. Put bars on every window, right? Make sure the window can open though, so you can get some fresh air, and also make sure the bars have a nice design so they don't look like a prison, right? But make sure your place is secure, man. So, especially if you're going to be away for weeks, months, sometimes a year at a time, like I am. I could just be gone from my place, doing Lord knows what. It's the bachelor life, man. It's the bachelor life. Why get stuck down? Why get stuck down? There's no point. There's really no point. Just go where the going is going, right? So he bought a house, or they bought a house, and then immediately they got down to business. I can only imagine. He must have had the best time ever. This is a vasectomite's dream. This is a vasectomite's dream right here. It has everything. You know what I mean? It has everything. And now she's determined. She secured the house. She secured the man. And she's 29 years old. She's right there at that age. You know what I'm talking about? She's right there at that age. And she wants to knock up two babies. She wants to knock out two quick babies. Bam, bam. That means from 29 to 36, she's just going to be pregnant. She'll do two quick, rest her body, and then come back and pop out a third one because it's tough to raise three kids together. But two you can do. Two you can definitely do. So for the next, few years, all she'll be doing is having intimacy and having babies, right? So yeah, they immediately started. However, she did not become inseminated. So they don't say how long this went on for. So she did not become inseminated. This caused her anxiety. Oh, listen to those emotions. There's always some anxiety in this story, some mystery. And all the while, the vasectomy itself is acting like the phantom menace, just haunting, hovering above this relationship like a shadow. The deceptive arts are in full effect, right? So she's in it now. She's really been putting in that work, and she's not getting the results. So now she starts to feel anxious. She's unsure of herself, right? As she began to believe something was wrong with her, or she blames herself. They always blame themselves, don't they? I don't know if that's ego or like inward looking, or whatever, like maybe like some kind of selfishness, some like what's this, main character syndrome, right, where she thinks, oh, it's all about me. But they always blame themselves when the vasectomy kicks in. Oh, that's the best part. The vasectomy kicks in and now they're confused, they're anxious, they start to blame themselves, they don't know what to do. You know, better if you have sperm frozen over. Then she's got something to work for, something she'll never get. She'll say, "Oh, can we use the sperm now?" You'd be like, "I don't know, man. Maybe we should just keep going." And then when we're ready, we'll know. We'll never be ready. We'll never be ready, right? So she thought something was wrong with her. She says, "I started taking vitamins, eating healthier, exercising more. So now she's looking more attractive too, right? So she's making an effort. She's looking good. She's eating healthy, taking vitamins. She's probably drinking a lot more water. That skin is clearing up, you know, and she's getting fit, and she's just giving him the best time of his life, all for absolutely no reason. All for absolutely no reason. Just remember all these things that are happening to this counterpart, Miss 29-year-old counterpart. She thought she was going to be CEO by 34. She thought she was going to be CEO by 34. Then she realized that's not going to happen. Let me have two quick kids, right? And it's not working. Now she's popping the vitamins. She's doing the exercise. She's eating healthy, sleeping early, and all the while dragging him to the sack day and night. But she just couldn't get pregnant. It just wasn't working. No insemination for you. Not being able to get inseminated severely affected my self esteem. She wrote, I felt like an expletive. Oh, tragedy. Can you imagine? Can you imagine just putting in all that work into something? Just hoping against hope that something is going to happen here. Meanwhile, absolutely nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing is going to happen. This is what vasectomites do. This is what vasectomites do. It is heart wrenching. It is heart wrenching and yet so effortless. I cannot understand why you wouldn't want to have this power. Wouldn't you want to have this heartbreaking power? And look how effortless it is. He hasn't even cheated on her. He hasn't even cheated on her. And imagine our vasectomites, his resolve to hold on to that secret no matter what. She's taking vitamins, exercising, doing Pilates, whatever the hell that nonsense is, yoga and whatnot. killing it in the gym. She is killing it in the gym. And let me tell you, as somebody who exercises every day, to kill it like that, it takes effort, man. And all the while, he is holding the line, holding firm, immovable like the mountain, compact like the forest. Like the Grandmaster says, keep your plans dark and impenetrable as the night. And this is what our mighty vasectomite is doing right here. Should have frozen his sperm though. He would have had a deeper dimension, a deeper level to play with. He could have kept this going for years and years. It says here, my boyfriend tried to brush it off, saying that it was okay or that maybe we're not meant to be parents, and then would stress how great our relationship was. Man, he's just cooking her at this point. He's really got her. He's really got her on the hook now, and he's just pulling the fish into the boat now. He's just luring her in. He tried to brush it off, and he said, of course he tried to brush it off, right? First thing he does is he tries to brush it off, and then he says that it's okay. Maybe we're just not meant to have kids, right? And he says how great their relationship is. Of course, things are great. Of course, things are great. First of all, you just got the house. You're getting all the intimacy that you can handle, right? For little to nothing. For little to nothing. I mean, she's coming to you, right? And you got a vasectomy. And you got a vasectomy. What more could you possibly ask for? What more could you possibly ask for as a vasectomite? He continues, how maybe me not getting pregnant was a sign. Oh, now he's doing the manifestations. Now he's doing the manifestations, right? He's using the signs and the symbols, reading the tea leaves, looking at the patterns of the moon. All the while, please remember this man has had a vasectomy. He probably had it before they even met. She has no idea. So now he's got her on the manifestation. And then he says, and that even if we didn't have kids, we could be a dink, a dual income, no kids couple, and enjoy life. This guy is getting everything that he could possibly want. And he's got her in this stove, in this stew, and she's simmering and bubbling under. And all he does is he just adds more ingredients, just making the meat more tender, more softer, right? Just cooking her, just cooking her. He could have done this for years and years. Now, while there's nothing wrong with being child free, but that's not her intention. That's not the life I personally wanted, right? So she wants these kids. This is very deep. This is very deep. And he knows that. It's one thing when you see it, when you see her doing all that, looking all good, hitting the gym, starting to look great, drinking water, flushing out her system. She's not going out anymore. She's not drinking no alcohol, right? So she starts to look really, really healthy, really, really, really good. And you're appreciating that. You're really getting the benefits of that. Look how he's like, you know what? We could keep this going. He really feels like he could keep this going, but in his heart, he has to know. He has to know that his deception, eventually she's just, if she's trying this hard, eventually she's gonna try even harder. She's gonna stumble upon something. They always stumble, these people. They always stumble, right? And she makes it very clearly this isn't what she wants. If I can't have kids biologically, I'm perfectly fine adopting or fostering. Man, she's relentless. These counterparts are relentless. When they want babies, man. You know? And look at the extent to which she's going to fulfill her biological imperative. This is not a joke. This is not a joke, people. People are very serious about their kids, having them, caring for them, raising them. It's a very serious thing. That's why I say to you, if if you don't want to have kids, and I advocate for that, right? I advocate, you know my position very clearly. If you don't want kids, you need to go ahead and get that vasectomy. The last thing you want is to have somebody like this, because if it was you, and I wanted you to remember this, remember I said I want you to think, if you were in this situation, if you were getting it day and night, and on the weekends you were getting it non-stop, barely working for it, by now she would have been pregnant. By now, she would have. She's taking vitamins and working out and all kinds of things. By now, you would have definitely got her inseminated. And it wouldn't have taken long, right? But here, it's not happening. And she's making it very clear that she's going to have these kids. Oh, she's going to have these kids. One way or another. Nothing will stop her. Only her demise. Only her demise will stop her. But she's definitely going to do it, to the point where if she can't have her own, she'll take somebody else's. Because that's what adoption is and fostering. It's raising kids that are, quite frankly, not yours biologically. She says, but in my future, I've always envisioned having a family with kids, and that's what I've worked my expletive off for all those years. Oh, years. Years, she said. What did they say here? I think they were together for about 5 years. So this went on for half a decade. Long-term boyfriend, they call it. They don't say specifically how long, but I think they were together for about 5 years. So effectively, he had this going on for half a decade, and she put in that work. She literally worked that part of herself off for years. Years he was getting this man. He must have had his dream come true. There's his woman only being intimate with him because she wants to have his baby. There he is with the vasectomy. They got income coming in, and they're not spending nothing because they're preparing for a baby that's never gonna come. So he's getting richer. He's getting everything that he could ever want, all at the same time. She doesn't want to go out. She doesn't want to party. She doesn't want to do anything. All she wants to do is stay home and be intimate. This is the power of the vasectomy. This is what vasectomites do. It all just comes into you. It all comes towards you. The money, you got the partner you want. You don't want to go chasing. You don't have to chase. Here she is. You don't even have to chase her. She'll give you what you want. No, no, no funny business. That's why I was saying, if you want to know if a woman or a counterpart really wants you, she needs to go and indicate that she will go beyond reasonable doubt. She needs to go beyond the shadow of a doubt. She needs to go beyond you know any kind of misconception about her intentions need to be completely removed, right? So you need to know that she really, really wants to be with you, right? And here's the case. She says she worked for it for years, and that's the affirmation that you want, and you can get it if you get a vasectomy and don't tell anyone. She then went and visited a fertility clinic, and all her test results came back as normal. These people are relentless. And this is where the thread starts to come apart. When this is, and I'll explain my own tactics here, what I would have done. But this is where the thread starts to come apart, where she checks herself out and finds out that there's absolutely nothing wrong with herself. that by now she should, years later, years on this hook, she should have been inseminated. So the professionals advised that partners, his quality of his seed should be checked, right? So they wanted to go check his sperm. Perhaps upon being told this, he appeared however, upon being told this, he appeared to be visibly nervous, then came up with excuses to avoid this. This is where it comes apart. His weird behavior led me to questions from his girlfriend of 7 years. 7 years. 7 years. He had her going for this for 7 years. So his sudden weird behavior leads her to questions from his girlfriend of 7 years. Let's do it. Let's continue. I'm going to start from here. It says, his weird behavior led to questions from his girlfriend of 7 years. He blurted out that he had a vasectomy done 4 years ago. So they were together 3 years when he got the vasectomy. She wrote, I was baffled. Yeah, that's how you're going to feel. And still don't get it. Before seriously considering kids, he often talked about the future and our hypothetical family. Hell, we had been actively trying for a baby for over a year. I'd say you've been trying for a baby for almost 10 wonderful, glorious years, and he loved every part of it. Now let's discuss this important part right here. Let's go right back to the top here. There's a lot to discuss in this small section. She visited a fertility clinic, right? And all her tests came out normal. So then the doctors say, you know what? You need to get this vasectomy to come in and let's see what the quality of his seed is. Now, right there is one of the reasons why you want to freeze your sperm. If you want to keep this going, you can say, listen, I have some semen frozen, sperm frozen. We can go ahead and do this if you want to continue that way. But one of the benefits of having your sperm frozen is that you get a readout of your sperm count. So they take a sample, right, from you, the first sample, they give you a readout. You take that readout to the urologist. This is why it's important to go through the whole process. You go to the urologist. The urologist will read out that and tell you, what the situation is. Do you have a lot? Do you have a little? What's going on? Now, you want to keep that document on the side, right? So that if they say, go and do this, you can say, you know what, babe? I saw that we had been going and trying for so long, and I was worried that I was the problem. So I went ahead and got my sperm tested, and here are the results, right? Now, maybe I'm a little bit older, but the results won't have changed that much. But effectively, my life hasn't changed, not at all. Effectively, what it'll tell you is that I'm A-okay. Right? I here it is, it's signed, it's stamped. Now, if you have a digital copy, you can change the date on that to be as recent or as far back as you want. So you can do it as recent as 3 months ago, as last month. You can say I went a month ago. And here it is. And then you can say, you know what? You can take these results to your own urologist. I'll send you a copy. I'll email you a copy or whatever. I'll DM you or text you a copy. You can go ahead, take these results to your urologist, your specialist, and have them have a look at it. They'll tell you that they're official and they're real. And let them tell you what they say. You know what I mean? The best thing you can do is talk to a specialist. And then you can keep it going. But what does this vasectomite do? He acts all nervous, right? He's hiding things. He's not open. He's not transparent. He's not sharing information. He's not taking care of his health. You know what I mean? So she starts to question him. She puts him under pressure. What's going on? What are you not telling me? What are you hiding? And then eventually it comes out. The four magic words, I got a vasectomy. For me, this is not the moment to use these words. You know what I mean? For me, this is not a moment. What you want is for her to come and say, you're the daddy, and then you say, I got a vasectomy. That's the moment. When she says she's inseminated, she's pregnant, she's betrayed you, she's now pregnant, and she says it's your baby, then you tell her you got a vasectomy. Up until then, there's a million things you can do. There's a million things you could do. You could pull out your sperm count, not the one that says 0, but the one before that. Because you'll get two of them. You'll get one before because they don't want you depositing and freezing sperm that isn't sufficient, right? So if you have enough, they'll freeze it, right? But if there's a problem, they won't freeze it. But effectively, they want to test it, make sure it's right. You get to keep the printout. I kept all the documents. None of them are digitized, so you won't find them online, but I kept all of them just in case. Should a moment like this arise, I can just easily scan them, edit what I need to edit, change what I need to change, and send it. There you go. Go ahead and get your urologist to check. Your urologist will look at everything from a digital screen, and they'll say from what they can see, everything looks okay. Right? There's the stamp, there's the signature, there's the phone number. And if they call your urologist, a professional will pick up, and if they say they want details about such and such a patient, your urologist will tell them no. Doctor-patient confidentiality. So if the urologist says that, right, they don't have to actually give them any information, but as long as they indicate that they are real, they are professional, and they won't break the law for a counterpart, the counterpart's doctor will confirm the legitimacy of the information. And the counterpart won't pay that money for a specialist twice. Not after she's been proven definitively wrong. So, you want to keep those documents so that you can utilize them to further your deceptive ends. But he blurted out that he got a vasectomy. I suppose it's as good as any other moment, right? And it left her baffled. Just think of the emotions that this woman has been through, right? They'd been trying for over a year, and they were talking about their hypothetical family, naming their kids. Oh, we're going to name our kids such and such. Ancient One and Bachelor Supreme. No, let's call him One Ancient and Supreme Bachelor. Pillow talk. Give me a break. Now look at you. But he gave up his power, man. Right there, he gave up his power. The secret vasectomy is the most powerful vasectomy of all, right? Once it's out there, you may need to change the scene. She goes on to explain that he didn't tell her because he assumed she would break up with him. Fair enough, and she will. Or she was gonna go be with another man. If she decides she wants to have a baby and you cannot have babies, she's gonna go find a man who can. And there are plenty of these knee benders, right? These knee benders, they'll agree under those circumstances that the vasectomite was in, getting it anytime he wanted, living a dual income with no kids kind of life, enjoying life, right? Any man would agree to that. Any man with it. All the benefits without any of the liabilities, right? So yeah, she was definitely going to break up with him or more. He ignored how depressed she was getting about the fertility issue and hoped she would abandon the idea of having a family. This did not happen though, and his initial fears were realized when she broke up with him and moved out after finding out about his deception. That's terrible. She can't have him arrested. I told you deception is not illegal. Right? So she can't have him arrested for deception, for not telling her about a vasectomy. It's a private medical issue. You don't have to share any private medical information with anyone that you don't want to, even your wife. right? And the doctor won't tell either, right? But yeah, she was right. He was right. She's gonna break up with him. But she was feeling depressed, anxious, heartbroken, blamed herself, all kinds of things, and he sort of just watched her. That's the tough part. It's just sort of playing along, just going along with what other people are doing, being agreeable, right? Knowing that you're wasting your time. You see, me as a vasectomite, I've come to the other side where I realize this is actually quite a waste of time, right? If it happens for me, I want to, somebody wants to be inseminated, I want to be protected. But effectively, he just wasted 7 years of this woman's life for absolutely no reason, and then she breaks up with him, and he keeps the house probably. Well, I mean, what else? What else? They just go their separate ways, and he can do it again, right? And he can do it again, But she was getting depressed because she couldn't have kids, and he just supported her through it. He just supported her, and kept going. Her ex boyfriend and his family have asked her to give him another chance. He asked for another chance. What a nerve. This vasectomite, right? And he has offered to have the vasectomy reversed, but the woman says she wants nothing to do with him. After this type of deception, I can't expect her to want more to do with you. But now he wants to have his vasectomy reversed, which is a bad idea. He's got like a 9% of success of that, which means you're not going to be successful. And not only that, he's older, right? So it's one thing to do a vasectomy when you're young and then have it reversed, but he's had this for 4 years, right? So he's if he was in his late 30s, he's in his 40s now. He's not gonna recover as he thinks he is. So now he's gonna have the vasectomy reversed, and then she's gonna have to wait for him to heal, and then see if it worked, test, and then try for a baby 4 years later. She was 29 when they met. She's like almost 34 now. So I mean, this is becoming a problem, and she wants two kids. So she'll have her first kid by 35, 36, and her second kid before she's 40. That second kid should have been born when baby number three happened. If she had started according to schedule, she would have had baby number one before 30, baby number two by 30. And then she would have had, good 6, 7 years, maybe 10 years. And then baby number three, the miracle baby, you know. But no, no such luck, no such luck. If he had had that document, he would have been able to pull this off. I think he was going to pull this off in an immaculate way. Eventually, she would have said, let's try again, right? And then the second time, you were going to get caught. But the first time, you really could have pulled this off. Really, you could have done it. But yeah, so now they call him the ex-boyfriend. However, she added that everyone is making me feel like I'm the bad guy and telling me that everyone makes mistakes and that I should forgive him. This was not a mistake. This was an open deception. You were really in the divine manipulation. He had woven that thread all the way around you. This is what we call the divine manipulation of the thread. He had woven that thread all the way around her. She was spinning around in circles, blaming herself, not knowing. She's trying to weave her own web of deception. She's not understanding why she can't weave that web, because he's using the divine manipulation of the thread against her web, and she didn't stand a chance until he decided to expose himself as a vasectomite, which I don't think you should ever do. I don't think you should ever do, right? It continues to say, I'll read from here. However, she added that that she should forgive him. She's not going to forgive him. He's done too much. And there's too much time has gone by. I think he's better off just moving on. Although she said she still loves her ex, She wrote, I don't think I'll ever be able to forgive him for lying to me for years over something he knows is so important to me. If he gets back with her, she is going to, she's going to destroy his whole situation, right? She's going to destroy his whole situation, right? So the best thing is for them to just, move on and go their separate ways, right? And he can find another way. But this is really, yes, the end of the excerpt and the end of the article. Well, there's more to this article, but really it's not going to give us anything more that we want. The best parts are all here. They're all here. The vasectomy, the secret vasectomy. Look how powerful that secret vasectomy is. you know it confuses them, it baffles them, it throws them off their game. They start to blame themselves. People who are inclined to be disloyal will now suddenly be loyal, right? People who are inclined to betray you will now be so loyal and faithful, right? This is the power of the vasectomy. And then when it's not going together, they won't blame you, they'll just blame themselves. And that's really what you want. You want them looking at themselves and not looking at you. But yes, what a delightful article. So, if you were wondering, is there a reason for you to freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy? This is why. These articles are so helpful, right? So you can see the extent to which a counterpart will go to have kids if they want you to be the father, and how far you have to go to protect yourself. And once you've protected yourself, really, they have nothing more to do. But even in the end, even after all of that, she still loves him. She still loves him. The vasectomy, the power of the vasectomy is enduring. Get yourself a vasectomy, freeze yourself, get a vasectomy, and as I said, you're doing the right thing by keeping it a secret. And this proves it. The fact that she still loves him is proof that he did the right thing by keeping it a secret. And that's what you need to do. This is what the deceptive arts is all about, right? I'm not out here telling you to steal money. I never said steal money. I said steal information. This is information. This is knowledge. This is wisdom. This is wisdom. And you need to steal this and apply it for yourself. Right? Don't steal money. No good is going to come from that. Steal the knowledge, steal the wisdom. And use these tactics. Freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy, and keep it as something that is meant to be unknown and unseen. And see the power of it just manifesting in front of you. Right? Only you know. Only you know the truth. And look how the counterpart behaves. You'll never get a counterpart as loyal as this one. Almost a decade of loyalty because she wanted to have a child by this man. That's where loyalty comes from. Reward. She wanted a reward, and the reward was just not there to be had. And he employed the deceptive arts brilliantly, right until the end where he gave up the goose. But I think he was sort of sick and tired of the games. He just wanted to end it. He just wanted to say, okay, it's over, let me go. Now that he's offering to have the vasectomy reversed, he's not going to get that vasectomy reversed. He's just saying that. But he's not going to do it. He's not silly, man. You know what I mean? He just wants to get it back on the hook. But what he needs to do is he needs to start again. And then, but I wonder if he has those documents now. He didn't freeze his sperm. You need to go to a fertility clinic to get those documents and then go to the urologist to read them out. So if he didn't go to the fertility clinic, that means he didn't get the readout. I don't know. Maybe he can get a friend's readout. I don't know. Now you have to go and find a vasectomite. yeah, good luck with all that. You're not finding another vasectomy. Not for hundreds and hundreds of kilometers. And if you do, they won't give you their readout. Maybe they won't even have a readout, you know? So keep your documents, guys. Freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy, and then keep everything. And then as you like, release it, right? And say, well, I have this. So, I'm still okay. You hide that vasectomy and utilize its power, endless power. Why wouldn't you want this? Why wouldn't you want this? Think about it. Think about it. But anyway, this is the end of the video, and I thank you again for watching. I really appreciate it. This was a wonderful, wonderful article. I'm hoping to read more of these under different circumstances. But I thank you again for your time and your patience, and I really appreciate your attention. I am the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, he who remains the master of the deceptive arts, and gladly I have presented a magnificent case as the voice of the vasectomites. And I wish you a very lovely day.